Speak your piece.
Yo, Eden, you got the info?
No, I don't have the info. Topping's got the info.
Who has it? Topping?
Yeah, Topping's got the info.
All right, I'll call him.
Yeah, what's up, Joe?
Topping, you got the info?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got the info, but I'm kind of busy right now. We're digging a tunnel to MBA. I think I know who you can call.
Who has it?
All right, so Joe, listen. You got to get a hold of Essany. Essany's got the info you need, and I'll give him a heads up so he knows you're coming. All right, thanks, Joe. Bye.
All right, I'll call him. Yo, Essany. Heard you got that info.
All right, on today's show, Merch University, we got Mike Essany, right?
How are you, Joe?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's a great day.
It is a great day. It's good to see you. I'm at Merch University. This is a big deal. I'm excited about this. You were like the first guru to welcome me once I started getting active in social media, posting everywhere. You were so kind to me, and it's just great to we chat all the time, and now we get to do this interview. So I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I remember when you first started, people were talking about you. I heard like, oh, Michael Essany and this new group, and I was like, I'm gonna reach out to him. And I think right when I did, that's when you first started Merch Momentum.
Mm-hmm. Yep, right around that time, and we've been in touch ever since. And your group has grown, and my group has grown, and we're always collaborating and talking, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. Why did you start Merch Momentum, anyways?
Well, once I started talking about how I scale my designs, and a lot of people were very interested in that, and they wanted to learn more, and it got kind of cumbersome to make everything a PM or a post in somebody else's group. So a lot of people were like, why don't you create your own group where you focus on this topic, how you do merch? So I thought I used scaling, and I deployed some of my own outside the box strategies to gain momentum on merch. So I'm going to create a group called Merch Momentum. And then that was kind of the genesis of it.
That's pretty. And I remember when you started, and then, yeah, your group has grown. I think when did you start in July, I think it was?
Of last year, yeah.
Yeah. So it hasn't even been a year yet. It's crazy.
No, but it's great. And we have a lot of great people in the group, just like you have. I think we have pretty much the same people in each other's group. So they're all good people, helpful people. I love it.
I don't know if people know, but yeah, I'm an admin in his group, and he's an admin in my group. So it's weird. Yeah.
Sometimes I forget, like if I'm posting something, like your group is it doesn't matter. It's just the same. We're reaching the same people. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm always posting in your group all the time just to do it. I don't know. It's fun. I don't mind. I never know who's going to be active in either group, so I just post stuff. So, yeah, I posted something I think today. I was a video I'm doing actually like I'm giving away some designs every day, but it's through merch. I'm kind of like showing people what that program is like and stuff. And so I think Rhonda like commented on my video. I'm like, oh my god, I feel like I'm gonna make merch. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, you're really good. You're a great designer, and I love that you use a lot of different tools and you leverage different resources, and I see it reflected in the diversity of your designs, which is something that I think is really important for people. And I make this mistake. I'm exclusively in the Photoshop Elements camp, but I outsource some of my stuff. Adam Gabala is my designer, and I leverage him for the higher end stuff that I need done. But I always think it's great to utilize a bunch of different tools because it gives your designs a slightly different look and feel and tone and texture. And when you're building out kind of a robust, diverse catalog, you need that diversification of appearance. And so that's something I need to work on. I noticed that's something you do. You and other top sellers do very well.
Try to make them different, or No, I mean, I'm trying not to be scared. I just try to make whatever, and try to be creative as possible.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I always tell people. What's the worst thing that could happen? You don't sell the design or you learn something from it. I mean, that's part of the process.
And I was talking about this earlier in another video I did, but I was talking about I was at a store and I was looking at greeting cards. And if you look at a greeting card, it could be a T-shirt, pretty much. Most of them could be, anyways. And if you look at them, not all of them are the same. I mean, they got words everywhere and letters and graphics everywhere, but yet those cards still sell over and over every day. So,
and it's funny too because there are some websites and blogs that have archives of Hallmark cards and things like that. And you could really look at over time the evolution of the modern greeting card. And if you study it closely enough, you'll see that it parallels the evolution of the text-based T-shirt industry in terms of how fonts are. Those that are in vogue in the greeting card world also seem to be doing exceptionally well on T-shirts and apparel. So there are parallels there worth looking at. So when you posted that, I thought that could be very helpful for people if you're looking for ideas, not only in terms of messaging and inspiration, but appearance, graphics, fonts, balancing fonts, mixing and matching fonts, all that stuff. The greeting card aisle can be your best friend.
Yeah, you know what? And I think ideas are everywhere, and that's pretty much true. I don't know how many times I've walked by greeting cards or even bought greeting cards since I've been on merch. That has never dawned on me to I should take this into, consideration and just look at them, so.
Yeah. And the same goes for magazine articles. And I'm sorry, not articles, but advertisements. In some of the magazines, you'll see ads for products that you'll never have reason to purchase, but there's still value in those ads. I find myself these days looking more and more at advertisements to see what fonts are they using. What type of product is it? Are they targeting a male audience, a female audience? If so, what types of fonts and color schemes are they using to reach me as a potential buyer? So all of a sudden, ads are relevant in my life, and I welcome them now because I tend to learn something from them.
Yeah, because I mean that's their whole purpose in those ads is to target you to buy that product. So yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I was with my wife and we were in I think Ulta like a week ago or something. And I was looking around there at their advertisements, and a lot of it was like cursive writing with kind of bold writing and stuff. And I was like, hey man, these are I can kind of get some ideas here, So.
Yeah. Yep, they're everywhere. Look at what marketers are using for their fonts and colors, and it'll open up some new avenues to take your messaging and perhaps repurpose them on a new design using a different look and feel, and maybe they'll start to sell.
Yeah, that's true. I think there's just a lot of ways that people can sell or come up with ideas and stuff, and so. What do you think is the best way to I know you use a lot of blogs, right?
I read a lot of blogs, to get creative ideas, specifically with regard to micro niches.
What would be the best way for me to go out and if I'm going to start that and I want to look for my own blogs and get my own type of blog, secret source? How could I go about that?
Well, I would say look at page 10 and lower of Google search results for blogs within a niche you're targeting. I mean, you could go on Google and do a search for the top 10 new hobbies or interests of 2018. And then you'll probably find a few oddball hobbies or lifestyle trends, and you'll be like, wow, that looks cool. But then if you go ahead and you Google those things, the first few pages, that's what everybody's looking at. You won't really find the niche blogs, and you won't be able to really drill down further into those hobbies until much later in Google search results. So that, to me, is a way to find these little upstart blogs and websites and even newsletters and other online resources where you can hear from experts, people who are living those lifestyle trends, people who are actively engaged in those hobbies. Because the first few pages of Google are search results on an offbeat hobby would be, like People Magazine covering that hobby. Well, that's going to give you some surface level information. So maybe you'll have a working knowledge of what that hobby is, but you still won't have an insider's perspective. And you need an insider's perspective if you're going to make apparel for insiders. So also Facebook groups are wonderful. Don't be turned off by a Facebook group in a particular interest if it only has 500 people in it. That's more than enough, as long as those 500 people know what they're talking about. Join the group. Be honest about why you're there. You want to learn more about it. You're in the apparel industry or you're blogging about it, whatever it is, and invite those people to share their knowledge with you, and you can make shirts for them. Because chances are, if it's a micro niche for a health food trend, for example, those people are very passionate about it, and they won't mind that you're there to learn more, to make products, because they probably want the word to be spread about whatever it is that they're doing. And maybe it could open a door for a partnership opportunity as well. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I was watching. It's kind of like that with YouTube. I was watching YouTube. I watch a lot of vlogs on YouTube, a lot of documentaries, and I was watching one. It was called, I forgot, something about millennials. All these millennials were eating avocado toast. I was like, man, that must be something going crazy, because and so like right then, man, I just made a shirt that said avocado toast and made it green and yellow. And then like, I swear the next day that shirt sold. I don't think I sold one since, but it sold.
Yeah. And now there's a lot of avocado related shirts out there. It's avocado went from being like one of those health trends that no one was really talking about, but was doing. And now everyone is talking about and doing and making shirts about.
Yeah. So that's crazy. That's good. Actually, that kind of parallels like what you were talking about, how, okay, so don't only search in Google in the first 2 pages, but a micro niche, that's what you do. You start at the top, you start with the niche first, and then you drop down like way down, and then you can, just like in the Google, go search in Google and go to like the 10th page, and then you'll find something good.
And Pinterest, Instagram, people love sharing. When they don't have time to write about something, they'll share a visual of it. I find infographics to be really helpful too. If you do some online searches regarding hobbies and infographics, hobbies is kind of just my go-to example. I'm not trying to suggest that hobbies is like the only way to micro issues. I just find it's the most relatable way. So that's why I'm saying hobbies so much. But hobbies and like anything related to an infographic, you will find that artists compile the most interesting, offbeat, quirky information in these very concisely put together visual packages that kind of help you scan everything you need to know. And then from there, you could delve a little bit deeper. So keep infographics in mind as well. They're very helpful. Oh yeah,
I'll have to check that out. Also, I think it was last July, I was at I'm part of this other group that's kind of a paid reseller group called the Green Room. And also in that group is Glenn Zubia, Margaret, Texas Gal Treasures. And so that's kind of how I got to know these other people who are kind of, they have their own channels, they have their own groups, they have their own stuff. And so I've known Glenn for a while before merch even came along. And so actually me and Glenn and another guy, CJ, we did a panel at they have a yearly conference kind of thing, yearly group meetup kind of for like 3 or 4 days. And I remember one thing Glenn was talking about, he was talking about using Kindle and, go down there and look at Kindle, look at, look at the health foods or hobbies. And then as soon as you hit hobbies, it'll show you all the niches there. And then you can click on that niche and it'll show you some more niches. You can click on that one. It just keeps on going deeper and deeper.
Wow, that's really smart. Glenn is a sharp guy. Mm-hmm. I used to, when I had just signed up for my merch account in the fall of 2015, I didn't do a whole lot with it at first. I've shared this story a bunch before, but by early 2016, when I was growing increasingly obsessed with it, I started looking for YouTube videos from people who were doing merch. And Glenn was the first guy who was doing these videos where it's like, well, here's what I did for the past month. This was my approach. Here's what's happening. Here's what Amazon is doing. And it's just, he has really withstood the test of time as far as his business growth is concerned. He's just, and having that background in FBA and everything really helped Glenn as well, just kind of have a great mindset for e-commerce, which is something I lacked. So I was playing catch up, and Glenn helped me a lot without even realizing he was helping me.
Yeah, Glenn was one of the first guys. Glenn was the first guy to make my first couple of designs because he's also a graphic designer. So I just reached out to him since I already knew him, and so he helped me make a couple of designs and stuff, and so it was pretty cool.
And you mentioned Margaret too. Margaret's another awesome person, exceedingly talented, and she has a unique market view as well. So these are people I look to all the time for ideas and inspiration. I love how our community has so many leaders in it that really help those around us who are trying to get our footing.
Yeah, that's pretty true. That's really true with Margaret. I remember Margaret when we both started, and actually I actually have a show with her that I kind of started, and I was looking to do interviews when I first started at Merch University, and I was talking to Margaret. I was like, hey, let's start let me interview you. I was just going to interview her, and then that was like our first show ended up being, and then we brought on Jeff, and we brought on Chris, and so we've been doing that for over a year now too.
That's
so
great.
It's kind of crazy, and actually, there's one thing I did that you were talking about the community. I was trying to get people in groups in Merch University. I think it was like maybe last year sometime. And I was trying to play this game, but what turned out to be is that, and I was trying to get people to collaborate with other people. What turns out to be that some of the groups that are collaborating with other people are still grouped together and still talk. And so it's great.
Yeah, there's a lot of groups that kind of form and stay together. It's amazing how tight knit the merch community can be at times.
Yeah, and you can see it growing. I mean, there's so many meetups that people are having, throughout the whole country. So I mean, it's going really good. And people are growing. They're having a lot of meetups. They're not only having that, they're having like mini conferences and stuff. And so people are collaborating and learning from each other. So it's good. It's great.
Yeah, I often tell people, find a mentor, find somebody who you could partner up with, and don't let it be purely based on, the guy or gal that I chat with a lot is at a higher tier than me, or is leagues ahead of me in some way. I mean, you could be on the exact same level, if not inverse. The point is having someone to bounce ideas off of, having someone who can kind of review things, you review their stuff, and you talk and collaborate. That is one of the most important things you can do as a merch seller to grow your business. When I noticed at the beginning, a lot of people tend to be very closed off. It's like, I'm making designs. No, don't look. I don't want anyone to steal my stuff. And I get that. But at the same time, if you operate in isolation, I don't know many people who do operate in isolation that do as well as they might otherwise if they broaden their social circle a little bit and collaborated now and then.
Yeah, and there's no way I could do that. Like, I'm so excited. I don't know. I like to share my designs, and I like to share that I sold a shirt, and I'm always, maybe that's why Merch University got created, and that's kind of like what got created. Just like, hey guys, I sold a shirt today, and did you sell a shirt today? And so it's fun. I think that's over time. It's happened. And actually, a lot of people, just like we mentioned before, that me and Mike we do talk daily and stuff, and we even share designs with each other. And just, if I have an idea, I'm like, hey, check this out, or what do you think, and stuff. So it's good to bounce ideas off each other.
Yep.
So you gotta have that. So So how was your the strategy guide coming along? I know that's been your main baby this whole year.
Yeah, that thing's gonna kill me. It's a grind every week getting them done. I try to get them done at least a day ahead of time. Sometimes I cut it really, really close to getting them out in time. But a lot of work, a lot of research go into them. But it's great. A lot of people are leveraging them and making sales. And even when they're not directly making sales from some of the leads we provide, it seems like it gets them thinking in a different way so that they could find other ideas or go in a direction that they might not have been previously looking. And for me, even as a seller, putting the guides together helps me. I've always been a data-driven, data-focused person, and doing the guide really keeps me committed to the data. For my own benefit as well as those who are reading the strategy guide. So I'm going to try to keep it going as long as I can. I don't know if I'll be able to do it for this time next year, if we'll be talking, if it'll still be around, but I'm going to try.
I think I think it's a great tool for, beginners, anybody who's who needs help with the research, on their own, because a lot of people, most of the people have full-time jobs anyway. So I would say there's not a lot of full-time merchants out there. So.
Yeah, kickstart your week, if nothing more. Give you some ideas for shirts, and then you can go out there and make them yourself or outsource them to your friendly neighborhood designer, however you choose to do your business. But you just, it's been the topic of discussion all week as far as what is and what isn't selling on Amazon today. And it seems to me that the more micro niche you go, the better your chances are of cutting through the masses of shirts that are being uploaded today that seem to fall in line with the trends a bit too much. Everyone's looking at the top 100 shirts on merch, and they're trying to make apparel to fit within that winning momentum. And so I think that overall is holding most people back. It's holding the platform back. And so we have to go and do what I think Amazon wants us to do, and that is create products for people who are underserved. And we can do that with micro niches.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity to meet. I mean, there's so many niches out there that are, that are maybe hobbies or people collect, or just things that people are into that are, that have been there forever. But I think there's also a lot that are brand new, becoming brand new every day, becoming trends. I mean, I think they start off as trends, but then, most of them become like evergreen stuff. So yeah, I don't think there's ever going to be an end. And I know a lot of people might think, hey, Joe or Mike, I don't have no ideas what to do or anything, but hey, man, there's no end, I mean, just, it's going to keep going, I mean, so, I mean, how long have shirts been around, I mean, so it's crazy.
And, you can get ahead of the whole micro niche thing too. I mean, I know some folks have a concern that, well, they're so hard to find, and that's generally a complaint you hear when you're not real familiar with the process of finding micro niches, or you haven't done it much. But in addition to the micro niches that are already out there, new ones are coming into being all the time. How do you find those? Do a little bit of online research. Look at DVDs and books that are in the works. Like even on Amazon, you can see what's available for pre-order now. Books and DVDs that'll be out even this summer. And so many of them aren't just the new, mystery novel or James Patterson book or something. It's a lot of them are health, fitness, financial advice, self-help, just the broad self-help genre. And within that, you can kind of see where the marketplace may be headed, because a good number of those products will be based on ideas and themes and concepts that aren't presently oversaturated. So it's a good way to see what's on the horizon, and most people don't do that.
Yeah, I actually never thought about it. I've always thought of, I always go to places where you can look and say, oh, these are the future movies of coming out. And I actually never thought about going to find out the books and the future content coming out to make sure it's over that. That's actually, yeah, you step ahead of the game before it even comes out officially. So yeah, that's awesome.
Ahead of the game. Gotta stay ahead of the game.
Yeah, actually, I think one time we were talking about documentaries one day, and just talking about all the documentaries that come out. What was that one you were talking about? I think it was about Polka or something like that.
Yes, I think I did a post in my group about it. There was both a movie starring Jack Black and a documentary about the Polka King, a guy who ended up being he went to jail for conning people out of a good deal of money. Basically, he was running what the Fed said was a Ponzi scheme. But in getting to that point, he was one of Pennsylvania's biggest polka stars, and that introduced me to the power of the polka niche. And a lot of people still love polka. It's a proud heritage for a lot of folks of the Polish descent, and so I've done well in the polka niche, and that's just one example of an idea that came straight out of a Netflix documentary.
What if my mind asks, what heritage do you come from?
I'm primarily Italian.
Okay.
I'm Italian with a little bit of Hungarian.
Okay. And have you made any shirts that are Italian or Hungarian?
Yes, I've done mostly Italian. Italian shirts sell better than Hungarian shirts. Nothing can come anywhere near Puerto Rican pride-related shirts. Greek is even leading, at least for my account, my sales account. Greek shirts are leading Italian shirts, but it's a very Mediterranean feel to them. But yeah, I've done okay with the Italian shirts, and I've certainly made a lot of them. And I've gone beyond the obvious, like the Italian food or the Italian cooking niche. That's a little bit crowded and congested at this point. But I like to do the crossover niches where you could take a go back to hobbies again. Go back to a hobby, and you're the best Italian blank hobbyist. You could really bring your cultural pride or ethnicity and put it into so many other things that really personalizes a piece of apparel for the wearer. And it might seem simplistic, but it's a consistently bankable approach to designing shirts on Merch by Amazon.
What would you say, is it better to go funny or try to be funny about Italians, or not make fun of them, but because when you're making Italian, you're Italian, you're like, oh, this Italian shirt can be, I can make it, I'm an Italian or whatever, and make it funny. And for me, works really well. Yeah, for me, I'm like, how can I make an Italian shirt funny?
Yeah. Well, I mean, some things you can poke fun without making fun. Like, for example, you see a lot of shirts that pertain to Italian anger, like this. I'm not yelling, this is just my voice, I'm Italian, that kind of a shirt. That's poking fun without being in any way disparaging or degrading. Yeah,
exactly. My top seller, I sold 175 shirts of a Native American shirt. So I'm Native American, and so I make shirts all the time about Native American food all the time. And made Native Americans are big into basketball, so I'll be making Native American because I know that's the culture around here anyways. They're into basketball, they're into sports. They're big sports families. Even my sister and her kids are my brother-in-law's a coach, and man, my nephews and nieces are all into basketball. They're into food, they're into family, they're into that's what it seems like to bring it. They're into funny stuff, and they like to laugh and have a great time. So I think a lot of humorous shirts definitely play a big part into Native American culture.
See, what you just said is brilliant, because if you took the average seller who doesn't have a background in niche research or e-commerce in any fashion, and you gave them a list of topics to make shirts about, and you put on there Italian food is one option, or perhaps Native American culture with a / sports or basketball, chances are the typical seller would say, well, I'm going to make an Italian food shirt because it just seems, hey, there's an Olive Garden in my neighborhood. Everybody loves Italian food. I'm going to make an Italian food shirt. But there's so many of those that the smarter money is on the niche that is being underserved. And 9 times out of 10, the thing that seems smaller will actually result in a bigger royalty.
Yeah, and I would even think, just like for the Native American culture, I might seem, or if I didn't know anything about Native Americans, I might group them into one. But when really, I could just tell you that there's like 550 different tribes, and each different tribe has their own language. And their own culture, pretty much. Within the culture itself. It's crazy, how micro niche can go. You could do that with Italian. You just have to. I guess I would have to just dive in deep and check out what's up with the Italian culture, how they're different from whether they live on the East Coast, the West Coast, Midwest, or whatever. So,
well, I can give you this tip as well, and this is something to delve a little bit deeper into the Italian niche. Is a lot of old school Italians. This is something that I would see people ask my grandparents. They would pose the question, what part of the boot are you from? It wasn't just enough that you're Italian. What part of the country are you from? And so there's a lot of subtle things that kind of define Italian heritage based on where your roots are within the country. And so, and I'm sure this is the same with a lot of nations. So really, if you're really hardcore into the culture of a nation or a nationality, you should look into the different parts of the country, and everything from accents that are more indigenous to perhaps the southern part of a country as opposed to the northern. There are opportunities in there for t-shirt creation that will really target buyers in a way that that's been lacking in the online e-commerce world.
Yeah, I think you could just spend a couple hundred t-shirts on cultural
Easily.
shirts,
Easily.
I know it's easy for us to think now. I'm on the 2000 tier. You're on the 6000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now, I mean, I have 100 uploads a day. I mean, now I can talk about, I want to spend, a couple hundred. I mean, but you'll get there. People will get there. It just takes time. You just stick with it. But yeah, I mean, you can make up all kinds of shirts you want, so.
And it doesn't have to be merch. I mean, you could go to Redbubble, you can go to Tzilla, you could open an Etsy store, you could do Teespring, you can test out designs pretty much everywhere. And if it hits one place, you could migrate it over to merch. There's never a reason to stop designing.
What you've been successful where, on Teespring, or is that where you've been successful?
Much more so in 2016 than today. Teespring isn't what it used to be. Teespring was great for me at that time, getting started when I was waiting to have more slots available on merch, because I was able to test out a lot of designs on hoodies and sweatshirts before we had them on merch. And so I was able to figure out what people were wanting. And so, yeah, Teespring was great for me. Redbubble was good. If I had the time, there's only one other place I would go outside of merch right now, and that would be Etsy, because I see so many people just crushing it, and it's going well for them.
Here's actually, I was thinking of a question just when you're talking about that. Okay, so I noticed in your strategy guide, not only do you just have like a list of keywords, but you have them broken down in t-shirts. What do you have? Long sleeve and
all the apparel. So long.
Yeah, all the apparel. And why do you do that? Do you think do you think a shirt that's made for a t-shirt, you don't, because they're different, right? They're not all the same.
Correct. Part of the research that goes into the strategy guide is when I find a niche or a micro niche, and I start looking into it and see what people are buying. Sometimes it's the case where a niche will have 300 or 400 t-shirts, but there'll be 8 hoodies. And those hoodies have reviews. Those hoodies have they have a decent BSR. So you know that there are people looking for this niche to be represented on a hoodie, but the hoodie is just on a weighted scale. There's just not as much to choose from in hoodies. So if I find a niche that I think has potential, but I see that there's more t-shirts than hoodies, and the niche isn't necessarily pertinent to warm weather, like I would not make a let's go out and tan, let's hang out at the beach hoodie. I will recommend that niche go on the hoodie or the sweatshirt as opposed to the t-shirt. And so it all goes back to research. I mean, I look for weaknesses and areas of opportunity. And sometimes when something is glaringly weak on long sleeve tees, sweatshirts, or hoodies, that's where I will direct people. Yeah,
actually, I have all these shirts that are related to water and different things. And then it was just recently I was like, man, I'm going to put these on like sweatshirts and hoodies, because not only, I mean, it could happen. And actually, I had some shirts, some long sleeve shirts that sold for what would normally be a summer holiday or a summer thing. So it's funny. So
that's great. I mean, I think there's something to be said for putting design on all forms of apparel. I mean, you never know what people are going to want.
You never know. But yeah, that's good, because I think a lot of us. A lot of merch people only focus on the t-shirt, and they don't upload to long sleeve or sweatshirt or hoodie. But it sounds like that we should, because, and maybe not upload every shirt, but you're gonna have to find that niche or find that right idea to put on a sweatshirt and a hoodie, because they have their own reasons for it. So
right. I mean, if you have a design that you put up in 2016, 2017 as a t-shirt that's still selling really, really well, and you haven't yet put it on a hoodie, there's no reason not to. I mean, if you're limited on space, maybe go for t-shirts first, because t-shirts will, I think at the end of the day, those will always be the real bread and butter of merch by Amazon. But if you're looking to hit your daily upload max, and you're short on ideas for new shirts, but you have a lot of designs that are consistently selling on standard or premium tees, and you're having to put them on long sleeves, this is a great, Q2 is wonderful from what I'm seeing and what I've experienced on other print-on-demand platforms. And this is our first Q2 with long sleeve t-shirts, and they're selling really well for me right now. Definitely go for long sleeve t-shirts. They're probably even better sellers right now than hoodies.
Probably so, because didn't you say it's snowing right now?
Yeah, here where I am, just outside of Chicago, it is snowing. Yes.
Yeah.
Middle of April, it's snowing.
Middle of April, it's snowing. So yeah, so definitely people can buy some shirts like that. Definitely. I had something to say and I forgot it, but oh well.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah, that was crazy. I did sell those shirts, those long sleeve shirts. So yeah, I've been uploading a lot more to long sleeves and hoodies and stuff, and trying to make them different as I can, trying to add more keywords. And here's what I was gonna ask you. What would you say to the people? Because there's a lot of newbies out there. A lot of, man, they're coming in like crazy, I would say. But what would you say to the people who are in tier 10 and who have, maybe they have 10 shirts up and they've been doing it for, 3 or 4 weeks and their shirts aren't selling? What would you recommend?
Well, I would recommend that they take a very, very deep dive into what they have opted to sell or fill their initial slots with. I'm a big proponent of evergreen designs for those at tier 100 and above. I think at tier 10, your first priority is to blast out of tier 10 by any creative means necessary. So I would, if something isn't selling, I would advise focusing on something that's either highly seasonal or trending. You want to piggyback on something that, even if it's not going to have sales potential in 3 months from now when everyone's forgotten about it. That doesn't matter. What you need to do is hop aboard something that's hot right now. So there's this dichotomy here that we need to look at. I think one of the biggest problems for sellers who are tier 1,000 and over is we're still doing the same thing that people at tier 10 and 25 are doing and should be doing. They need to focus on hopping on trends, hopping on things that are going to really have a great opportunity to move units right now. Whereas people with more slots to fill, we need to think less in terms of trendy and more about building a lasting business with shirts that can sell perhaps in lower numbers, but at least they will sell consistently over time. The evergreen model. Evergreen is not something I advocate for people new to the platform. That's the time to hop aboard what's selling. They should be looking at the top 100 selling shirts on Merch by Amazon, as opposed to people who are in higher tiers. We shouldn't really care at all at the top 100 shirts selling on Merch by Amazon. We need to go in a completely different direction and make shirts for people who need them. So that would be my advice. Don't go against the grain. Ride the wave of merch, look at what's moving, and then graduate to evergreen status shortly thereafter.
What would you say if you were looking for trending? Where would you try to find these trending ideas?
Well, that's one of those things where I don't think you need to try and reinvent the wheel. I mean, I think social media is your friend in that case. I think you have to look at what's moving on Twitter, what's trending, what are people on Facebook talking about? What are your friends and family talking about? What season are you in? What's hot right now? And I think also that doesn't necessarily mean if with May coming, you have to do Mother's Day or you have to do Cinco de Mayo. You can look at family barbecue shirts for Memorial Day. You can look at finding a unique way to approach graduation, perhaps in line with nationalities. You can put a unique spin on things that are seasonal that have a chance to hit soon and at least get you 10 sales. Because once you get 10 sales, you can start to really snowball quickly. And right now, Amazon is, I'm seeing every day people post that I just got approved for an account last week, or a couple weeks ago, I've only sold a couple shirts, but I just got tiered up to 100. And I think part of the reason we're seeing that, and it pains me to see this, but I know a lot of people who used to upload regularly are either giving up on merch altogether, or they're taking a protracted break from it because they're not seeing the numbers that they're hoping to see or feel that they are deserving.
Yeah,
that's sad, because I don't think merch is something that's going to go away anytime soon. And I think it's been a rough time to start the year, but we will get past it. I have no doubt.
Yeah, I was telling people something about that the other day. I was looking up, let me see here, really quick. I was looking up Cafe Press, and I was looking up like how long, I think Cafe Press is one of the oldest ones that's been around for a while. And I think I read that it's been around for like 17 years or something. So, hey, and merch is like way better than any of those other print on demand sites. And I think merch is here to stay for a while. And it's Cafe Press and all these other small ones that started out a long time ago are still around. Hey, I think merch is going to be around for a while. So, yeah.
Merch is, I know it sounds a little pie in the sky to some people, but I believe Amazon doesn't go into anything aiming to be a mediocre or average player. I think Amazon goes into something wanting to dominate the game. And I think all signs are pointing to merch by Amazon growing in ways we can't presently imagine, beyond just the addition of new products and forms of apparel we'll have access to. If we get tank tops, for example, or maternity wear, or onesies for babies, that's going to be part of what's coming. That's not going to be everything. I think eventually merch will ship to other continents. I think merch will be will have access to brands. Might be able to license things more easily. We'll be able to create novelty products. We'll be able to personalize things. We'll be able to have, perhaps, if not a direct correspondence with consumers, perhaps a way at least to tailor a product to a consumer wish, or maybe a consumer could tap into our designs to personalize it for themselves on the customer facing side of things. The possibilities are truly endless. So I'm staying focused on it because I know we'll ride out this wave and better days are ahead.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, what's the highest tier you've heard anybody be at currently?
I just interviewed somebody at tier 20,000.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So it'll be coming up in a strategy guide either later this month or next. But I've heard, now that's what I can tell you that I know for a fact. Yeah. I've heard rumors. You hear the chatter that there's like a tier 24, 28, or 30. Wow. And I don't doubt that there is. I can also tell you that the biggest, baddest sellers in our business are people that you would never recognize walking down the street. We don't know their names. They're not out front and center on social media. They're very quiet. They say virtually nothing. They listen to everything. That's how I found a few of these people that I've done interviews with, just personal correspondence. They grow their accounts, and yet they never share that information with people. And I respect that and give them their privacy when they want it. But there are some huge sellers out there that are at levels that you just can't even comprehend. They're not Marvel. They're not Disney. They don't have these accounts with Amazon where they can just make whatever they want. They've just grown their good old fashioned merch account to that level. So it's possible.
Yeah, I think it's possible, and I think we see growth every year. So I mean, I've seen growth every year, just sticking with it. So yeah, I think that's awesome that people are getting that. You can see the possibilities. I think that's good for us. So good for even the people at tier 10 who are struggling with no sales right now.
They'll climb.
Yeah, you'll climb. It just takes time, and just to get out of here. What we're about to end the show, but what's something that you would want to leave with the people today to know something, or to do something, be proactive or whatever?
Well, I think I would probably say that based on what I'm seeing today as a big source of frustration, people are sticking with the same formula, the same approach to designing shirts today that they had initial success with over the last couple of years. And I think for reasons that partially escape our understanding, what worked last year isn't at least working right now. And so my advice for all those people who are frustrated out there, I would say, and maybe this isn't a long-term solution, but it is at least something worth trying right now. Cut all ties with your mindset from the past and go make your next 10 shirts or 50 shirts or 100 shirts, depending on what tier you're at, all in niches that you have never before touched, that you presently know nothing about. You should challenge yourself to learn about them and go in a creative direction that in this moment scares the hell out of you. Go in that direction, because that will lead to more ideas for shirts down the road. And I truly believe that if you leave your comfort zone, you will start to make sales on niches and concepts that, thinking about today, you will have serious doubts as to whether or not those niches will ever produce sales for you. But that's where the market is moving. Amazon seems to be rewarding those offbeat niches and creativity with added exposure. You're going to reach potential customers faster. And for Q2, that is one of those ideas that I think will work for more people than not.
All right, that's some good info to know. Just to jump in and learn, and find some other things that you don't know. That's
right. And if all else fails, go to Merch University. That's where you go. Enroll today.
Where can I get the info at?
For Merch University? They have a great tuition plan, student loans.
Exactly. All right, guys. Thanks for joining Merch University. We'll have Michael on again. Mike. We're gonna have him on again today. So I was asking Mike one time. I was like, Michael. I was like, well, what do people call you? And you said what? They call you Mike, right?
Yeah, most people call me Mike, or hey you, or hey guy, or just snap their fingers and I show up. I don't know. I answer to anything.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll have him back on again, and so I hope you guys enjoyed today's show, and we will talk to you later. We'll see you later.